that mold was like actually in the Bible.
What is the worst health advice you have ever received?
If you
Today, we have an actress turned entrepreneur, a health and wellness advocate, and the founder of Beauty and the Broth. With a nutrition science degree, Melissa Bolona's journey from being in front of the camera to starting her own business was fueled by overcoming chronic digestive issues and putting an autoimmune disease into remission through mindful eating. Hi, I'm Dr. Sanova Feza Doctor, a board-certified dermatologist practicing integrative health and the host of the show Healthy Aging with Dr. Doctor. I am thrilled to have the lovely, strong and kind Melissa on our show today. Did you know that Melissa had a very successful acting career before she decided to leave it and take charge of her health? If there are any aspiring actors in the making, this is her message for you.
So I would run around my town in New Jersey being like, I'm going to be an actress. And I didn't know why I would say that, because I was just a girl from New Jersey. I was thinking so small, I never even thought I would go out to California in my life, let alone live here. But I remember when I first moved out here and I'm like, okay, let me give it a whirl. Let me try acting. I remember someone, I think like a producer I met with, they're like, could you picture yourself doing something else? And I said, I think at the time I said no. He's like, good, because if the answer is yes, go and do it. And I just remember I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of rude. And it's funny, years and years and years in acting, I now know exactly what he meant. And it really does have to be your living, breathing passion. And I loved my time acting, but it's a very difficult industry. It's the industry of the 1%. But if you think it's your passion and you can't see yourself doing anything else, go for it. Shoot for the stars, because no dreams in this lifetime are impossible. But it really does need your passion to keep going. You know, I'm someone who's very split brain. I've actually gotten my brain tested and it's like 49-51. So I also crave, I'm not full artsy, but I'm definitely artsy. So I also crave like analytical stuff. So I think that was like a little bit of a challenge for me. When you do, knock on wood, book the job, there are no small roles in acting. To work is a blessing. When you did book one of these roles, it was like a lot of hurry up to wait. Like I would be in my trailer for like 8 hours, like doing jack squats. So, you know, and I just felt like a lot of like wasted time. Sure, it's partly on me. I could have brought more books. I could have done stuff, but you kind of don't know how every day is going to go. They don't tell you you're going to be waiting around for 8 hours. They don't tell you that, you know, you see yourself on the shot list, you see the time, but all the best made plans, you know, acting is really technical, especially, you know, films with some trickier stunts. It takes a while because they want to keep everyone safe. So I would say it was really exciting. Obviously, there was a lot of waiting around, and it was like kind of sad because then you would like wrap, and you know, unless you're doing a TV show, that's different. Sure, you know, stay with the people. But then you would wrap, you had all the best made plans to see everyone again. But then it's like kind of like, that was it. Bye, everyone. Don't worry about it again till like 10 months later when the movie comes out. Hurrah for a month or two and like back on. So I definitely struggled with that. And I just remember during actings when I started Beauty and the Broth, and that was really stimulating for me. I felt really fulfilled. Like I got, during those 8 hours on set, it would fly by. I'm like, what 8 hours? So I just had all this work to do. So if you're going to act, make sure you have, I'm not going to say another passion, but hobbies to occupy yourself, and always work on your craft. And if you can't see yourself doing anything else, go for it. And it's just so funny how that advice insulted me at the beginning to at the end, I was like, I get it now.
It is not an easy decision to leave a successful acting career and facing a health crisis to emerging with a solution. In case you're wondering, this is what happened.
My journey started when I was a kid, where I had chronic digestive issues. I was in and out of the hospital. I missed so many days of school. I actually almost got held back. I'll never forget. I was in the hospital with these chronic stomach issues, and I saw the vice principal. I think her name was like Mrs. Matinsky or something, Malitsky. But anyways, and I remember I was like kind of relieved to see her, because I'm like, everyone's gonna think I've been playing hooky all these days. And I was just so ill to finally, one doctor when I was a kid saw that from an x-ray that I was so backed up with good old-fashioned stool. So that's kind of where my health journey began, being hyper aware that I had like a form of colitis as a kid. cut to, I didn't really do anything about it. They put me like on stool softeners and antidepressants, even though I wasn't depressed, but it helps like to relax the gut microbiome, allegedly. So then when I was older, out of the house, doing my own thing in California, acting, I started to just feel unwell again. And someone who used to think healthy was, okay, great, like I'm happy with the way my body looks, great, healthy, tick. And it's so much more. Like, all because you're skinny doesn't mean you're healthy. In fact, being healthy is to be nourished. So I just had really bad brain fog, and I just felt kind of, very spacey and just like with this bloat. But, I looked skinny, so I thought I was, fine. And my sister kept trying to get me to try bone broth. She was obviously fully aware of my digestive issues as a kid. First, I wouldn't try it because I thought it was like gross and witchcraft and bones. And then finally, I was like, okay, give me some of that stuff. I tried it. And I love to say that bone broth was my gateway drug into health and wellness, because it truly was. First off, this was before I got my nutrition sciences degree. I was just completely floored by what it did. Like, I literally thought it was quite literally witchcraft. It not only fixed my digestive issues, and that's why I drank it, but it fixed like a damaged knee I had from sports. It fixed, I guess it made my hair thicker. It helped me with like lines in my face. I was always, beauty conscious. I got Botox since age 25. And like that timer, that need to run and get Botox went away. So I didn't understand at the time how a drink could do this. But now I've come to an understanding. It's two things can be true at the same time. Bone broth's great for you. And having a healed gut that bone broth helps you to do, there's endless benefits to that. So that was phase one of my health journey. And I turned my pain into passion. I created a bone broth company because I saw a huge need in the market. I thought there was a lot of opportunity to make a better bone broth than what was on the market, which we could get into later. And then during this bone broth entrepreneurial journey is when all of a sudden, out of the blue, I started gaining all this weight. I started losing hair. And I felt so much shame. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have this health and wellness company and now I'm gaining weight and I don't even know what to do. Like, I'm eating healthy, I'm working out, I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it. And I just felt so much shame. And my girlfriend tipped me off saying that I have all the symptoms she had. Now she really thinks I have hypothyroid, which is an autoimmune disease. So I went to her endocrinologist and boom, he was right about one thing. I did have hypothyroid, but he also said I was pre-diabetic, and he put me on 4 different medications, which was kind of crazy. And he put me on Synthroid for my thyroid, put me on metformin, he put me on dexamethasone, which is a heavy steroid that my mom is actually on for other reasons, for a heavy problem. And he put me on Ozempic. He put me on Ozempic before Ozempic was Ozempic. And I was just so sick from all these meds. A year later, I vowed, okay, I must get off all these meds. I started hearing from my sister and from my peers that autoimmunities have an underlying reason, an underlying cause. So I said, okay, I'm all ears. And I started to go the functional medicine route and, to kind of see what was causing this. And sure enough, one of the doctors tested me for mold at first on the intake form. When it wrote, if you ever had a mold exposure, I put yes and I erased it and put no. And they're like, why'd you do that? And I was like, cause I had an apartment in New York. I was living by coastal. It got flooded and it had overwhelming amounts of mold. I wasn't there for 2 months. I was aware of it coming in and I never stayed there. I stayed in a hotel. I broke the lease, got my clothes cleaned, got my stuff shipped to me. 9 months later, like clockwork, is when all these symptoms of hypothyroidism started appearing. So I went on this mold protocol, which, ironically, I started the protocol off with a bone broth fast, followed by bone broth-based soups, and obviously like a bunch of supplements. And I also did sweating in the sauna and stuff like that. And I was on this protocol for 4 months. I probably should have been on it longer, but I'll tell you what, it put my 4 months, put my hypothyroid into remission. I got rid of 70% of my mold. I had 3 different strains. 2 of them are gone. One of them was linked to cancer and RAF, which really scared me straight. And now, I'm on level 3, going to get rid of the rest of it. But all my autoimmunity markers are long, long gone. My inflammation is better than it's ever been. And I couldn't believe, like the weaving of the bone broth into my journey. I can't believe the story of my journey. And now I'm at a phase where, okay, I'm healthy. I'm eating healthy. I'm working out. And I just feel like I felt, because now that's already started to change, I felt that there's one piece missing to gut health. And my sister is always my muse, always on the cutting edge of this stuff. And, when we're all children, we have an extensive trauma. And there was no coincidence that I had chronic digestive issues as a kid. So that's like a clue. So a kid's having this chronic digestive issues. What's going on? So I just, have been listening to podcasts, reading up, listening to my sister, where I think I have a ton of emotions and trauma stored in the gut that I've never released because, diet is a massive part of it. Working out, big part of it, but food is quite literally medicine. But there's like this last thing keeping me from like the super flat stomach, just like blocking me, right? So I started listening to a bunch of podcasts and research on plant medicine, aka psilocybin. And a couple weeks ago, I did my first journey, if you will. And my intention for it is to help me clear anything that's blocking me physically, which is the gut stuff, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I did this, and it quite literally gave me exactly what I asked for. I thought I had expectations, and the experience was way different than I thought it would be. I had 0 visuals, and I was so massively disappointed. But that disappointment was like a lever where the guide kind of like leaned into that. And I'm not kidding you, when I physically felt my gut microbiome like a hose unkinking in real time, and all these heavy emotions like despair, grief, disappointment, anger, just like emotions without faces. I couldn't even tell you what the memory was. It was just these emotions. I felt so much, and I physically felt my gut untangling. I'm telling you, since like days later, people look at me like, Melissa, did you just like lose 10 pounds? Melissa, you look taller. Melissa, your eyes look whiter. And I'll tell you what, stored emotion is I'm not going to say last piece of my health journey, because health is a journey, but I do believe it's what's been keeping me from the gut health of my dreams that I've been chasing, so much so I made a bone broth company.
I just want to understand, so you've done plant medicine, you went the functional medicine route. Did you take conventional medicines at all, or did you leave them or not start them? Because it's not very easy once you get on those medicines to get out of it. It's like a vicious cycle.
So I'm pretty ruthless. I don't recommend anyone do what I do, because I'm like very like 0 to 100 individual. Once I found out I have molds, and once I knew I was starting this protocol, I cut them all out cold turkey except for the synthroid. Just cold turkey. And by the way, like, whatever, I'll just say it. This is a health doctor podcast. Like, the metformin made me very constipated getting on it, and getting off it made me very constipated. And it was like constipation like that I've never had before. It's very painful. I'll just say that. So it was, painful getting off of it.
You can talk about poop and everything. We discuss everything openly.
I love it. No, it really hurt. Like, it hurt so bad that it would just like scratch you, and then it would hurt for months because you'd be scratched, and it's really hard to heal that area. Anyways, that was way too much TMI, but here we are. But we're human beings, and we need to talk about it. But yeah, getting off the meds, like I said, was painful, but I just cut it out cold turkey. I didn't want to be on these meds anymore. And the endocrinologist would just always say to me, like, oh, Melissa, if you don't take it, you're going to get cancer. Like, your testosterone levels, your estrogen levels. And he would like threaten that I would get cancer. It's like, no, buddy, I think if I stay band-aiding these with these heavy drugs as a 30-year-old, that I will get cancer. So it's just really interesting. Look, I'm sure he's a very smart guy, and there's, I believe in Western and Eastern medicine, there's a time and a place for both. But I just think when there's something wrong with your body, it's like a car. If the check engine light goes on, you're not just going to jump start it and keep driving. You're going to bring it into the shop, see what went wrong so that you could fix it so your car doesn't break down in the middle of the freeway again. So I just dropped the meds cold turkey except for Synthroid, and then I stayed on Synthroid for a few more months and then dropped that too. And I took a gamble. This was before I got like my blood work back, but I just, for some reason, I just like had faith and I really trusted the process. And I think, to me, like, I got mold was one of the tests they gave me, but the mold also showed up on other tests that weren't for mold. Like, it showed up on my blood test. It showed up on like the Dutch pedal test, which was a saliva test. So I just knew, and I saw the levels of mold were like overwhelming. And I'm just like, this has to be it. This has to be it. And I knew how scared I was about what could be with like the cancer route.
You must have experienced the growth of mold in some form or the other. Stale bread or cheese most commonly gets it, which leads us to either throw it away or sometimes you might just remove the affected part and eat the rest of it. Ew, that can be gross. But you can if you know how to recognize which mold is harmful and which isn't. But what about mold sneaking up into your house and leading to chronic diseases? That can lead to a vicious cycle of medications, fatigue, diseases, but still no remedy.
Mold's everywhere, first of all. Like, you can't avoid it. It's in the environment. It's everywhere. And it's when it lands and colonizes and attaches itself to a water source that then it becomes mold, you know? And well over half buildings and homes in America have mold. More than half. There's actually I heard from my friend Michael Medina, who dedicates his life to mold, and he just works completely with mold remediation, mold testing, everything. But he told me once that mold was like actually in the Bible, where if someone's house had mold, they would come and try to clean it. The priest and everything would come back days later, see if it was still there. And if it didn't go away, they would knock down the house, carry the stones 2 miles away. And by the way, back then 2 miles was like everything, right? This was like pre-cars, pre-this, pre-that. And even modern day, there's some places in Europe, since their health is, I guess, paid for by the government, where if they have mold in their house, the government pays for the remediation because they do like the risk-reward analysis, and they establish by paying for that expensive remediation is going to be cheaper than the chronic health issues down the road.
Wow.
So, and I've heard from people, you know, I see it on my comments because I post a lot about mold. They'll be like, my doctor told me mold isn't a thing. I'm just like, you know what, if he told you to jump off a bridge, would you? Mold is such like a simple thing that can be tested for, but there's like a bunch of naysayers that are like, oh, it's not a thing. But when you actually dig into it, like, mold's objective is to quite literally take you down. And there's like a bit of a chicken and an egg. Some people will say, oh, don't worry, if you don't have certain genes and you methylate, don't worry about mold. And sure, there might be some truth to that, but I also think it, once again, chicken or the egg, I think that mold is designed to kind of attack your methylation system because it wants to stay. It's got this warm, cozy home. Why would it want to leave? And you're just feeding it exactly what it wants. And a lot of food has mold in it. So it's like, you know, they're just multiplying. It was kind of crazy to hear all these different, the one strain, like battle, like a new strain, it popped into a new strain. Like, it's crazy. It's like, there's like a whole telenovela going on in here. So that was very interesting. And
you know, the funny thing is, I'm sorry to cut you, but
please.
like, we have these tests to detect particular strains. There are so many that we are not able to detect as well. Another thing that I just want to mention right here is evidence, studies, research, that's one thing, and common sense is another thing. Listening to your body is another thing. Like, if somebody tells, as you rightly said, social media, podcasts, there is so much of information, and I think there's a lot of misinformation out there these days, because you hear one person say something and then you hear another one say something else, which might not be in alignment. That's because everyone has a different experience. Everyone has a different way of handling things. And everyone's body is different. So if something that worked for you is not going to be what's going to work 100% for someone else, but they can take inspiration from it and try to understand what worked for you. And maybe there's something that they can do in alignment as well and see what is best for their body.
Totally. Like,
right?
I think people have a deep inner knowing what's going on, but it might not be at a conscious level. Someone might hear this and be like, oh my God, it's so meant to be. And like, I feel like when people hear things, they're supposed to hear it. And there's a reason why they take notice. But yeah, there's so many of my friends that saw my journey and were so intrigued by mold and would come to me like, hey, Melissa, like, I've been really tired. I've been not being able to put weight off, stuff like that. And I'm like, get tested for mold. Everyone I've said that to has come back and has had a certain level of mold. So it's crazy. So, you know, I'm someone who doesn't methylate, but who's to say that before the mold that I wasn't able to methylate? So that's something I don't know, that I guess is I'm not gonna say controversial topic, but a hot topic. Like, is it the chicken or the egg?
But I
Because
think it's even your body changes as you're going to age. Your body
yeah,
is going to change based on the kind of environment you are. So genetics is there, like we are born with it. We cannot really change it. We can change the epigenetics, the thing that is controlling our genes. So there is so much more to it that can play. So as you rightly said, you don't know if it was happening before. You don't know if your body will find out a compensatory mechanism to take care of it later. Once your body is completely healed, our body is miraculous. Trust me, it has its
yeah.
ways of, if it doesn't get it done through one pathway, it has another one and an alternative route, and it will keep trying, and then it'll give up probably if you're not helping the body do what it wants to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Have you heard of the term bone broth? It is this gooey jelly kind of substance that is packed with essential minerals, collagen, gelatin, and much more. It will not only give you shiny, thick, strong, bouncy hair and glowing skin, but can help restore the gut and boost the immune system and so much more. Don't believe me? You will after listening to what Melissa has to say.
Bone broth is animal bones simmered for a long period of time, typically more than 12 hours, but ideally 24 to 48, because why they call it bone broth, it's the benefit of the bone breaking down in this soup, if you will. People put vegetables in it. Your grandma probably made it. I know that the cavemen did. And the cavemen would use it to heal themselves after battle and to use all the animals. In modern day, people use it for leaky gut. However, in my opinion, it goes beyond leaky gut. Because what bone broth does that's really special is when you drink it, it creates a lining in your gut. It physically lines it like a stocking. So that I think everyone to a degree has some form of ill digestion, like your gut starts to get little holes. Like, no one's perfect, no one's bionic. But when people have really bad digestion, food starts to like really leak through the gut, and then red blood cells go to fight them, thinking it's invaders, the food particles. And that's when you get kind of sick and inflamed, and inflammation, as we know, can lead to chronic illness. So bone broth physically lines the gut microbiome like a stocking, and then pumps you with, I like to hit the word natural occurring collagen or gelatin, which is cooked collagen, amino acids, then it has glycine and proline in it. What I love to hit home about natural collagen is that bone broth is the most bioavailable way for someone to get collagen. A, because liquid is 98% bioavailable, whereas powders are only 2 to 21% bioavailable. And B, because the molecules of collagen are even smaller than molecules of collagen in face cream. So it's going directly into your gut, like attached like a stocking, like mainlining all this stuff directly into your gut. So what comes with bone broth is, what I like to say, it's the magic of having a healed gut from the bone broth itself. So obviously it's giving you all these nutrients like directly into your gut and making the stocking like a barrier to have food not seep through. But why?
Alrighty, now we come to the fun part of the show, rapid fire with Dr. Doctor. Are you ready?
I am so ready for rapid fire.
What's your biggest weakness?
Ooh, my biggest weakness, I would say my dogs. I just love them so much.
How long do you think you will live up to?
I think I'll live to 100.
What's your idea of a perfect date?
Ooh, okay, perfect date. Okay, so I like fun. Like, maybe somewhere that's like adventureful. Like, I like activities, so maybe like an adventure park or like an interactive show with someone who's just like down to clown. That's like laughing, and we're just having the best time and adventuring together. Perfect date.
What is the worst health advice you have ever received?
If you don't take all these heavy medicines, you're going to get cancer.
I don't know why did he scare you about cancer that much. In fact, he was sending those kind of vibrations towards it. And I think that's the last thing somebody
Trust
should
me,
try to
this
do.
man should lose his license.
No, I apologize you had to go through it, but yeah, that was nasty. What's the most adventurous thing you've done in your life?
The most adventurous, I mean, I'm a big adventure seeker, but I would say going skydiving with my stepdad for my 18th birthday, that was scary.
What was your last search on Google?
I don't know. Should we look? I'm a little bit scared. Okay, funny enough, it wasn't so bad. Alexander Wang.
Who's he? I have no idea.
It's a clothes designer.
Okay. What's one thing you've always wanted to try but you've been too scared to?
I just did it, plant medicine.
If you could play your favorite actor's role, what will it be and why?
If I could play my favorite actor's role, like a role on TV?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, oh, I know this answer. I've always said it. I would play Angelina Jolie's role in Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
What are 3 words to describe living in LA?
Sunny, mountainous, purposeful.
And the next segment is called This or That. You're supposed to select anyone. Okay?
Okay.
Sticky hands or slimy feet?
Slimy feet.
Okay. Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
Heels or flats or sneakers?
Sneakers.
Save 100 strangers or one loved one?
One loved one.
The mind or the gut?
The gut. Oh, I don't know. It's tough. I think the gut because it plays into the mind.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's what you choose. Yeah.
True.
Speeding ticket or parking ticket?
I get them both. The parking ticket.
Talking pets or talking babies?
Talking pets.
A store where every item is free or a restaurant where every dish is calorie free?
Ooh. Well, a store where everything's free because I believe you need some calories. I believe you need calories.
Okay, that was a trick question, but I loved your answer.
Gotcha.
Thank you so much for taking this time to be with us here today. I'm sure there are many things that can help you along your healthy aging journey. Please like the video and share it with your friends and family so that we can spread the word. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Continue to glow, thrive, and shine as always. Take care. I'll see you soon.
'Cause out of sight and out of mind is perfect. It's so hard to decide. Oh, I know he got me good in his pocket. I know that I'm just a treat.